Okay.
Why is it important to sterilise all pruning equipment when moving between tree jobs?
You sterilise equipment between different tree jobs so that if you picked up any pathogens or diseases or like fungi or anything that you can transfer from one tree to another, if your pruning equipment picks that up, you've like eliminated that before moving on to another tree so that you don't infect the second. Say you were working on one tree that has like a fungal pathogen, you don't infect a tree after that with that same fungal pathogen. Cool.
Okay. Where would you find out any biosecurity considerations which might apply in your area?
You can look at, to find out more about biosecurity sort of regulations in your area, you can look at the Department of Primary Industries website under the biosecurity section, and that should be able to point you in the right direction for what's like specific local regulations.
So for the Eucalyptus teraticornis shown in your Perform Pruning Operations Tree Type 3 Job 2 video, how would you expect the tree to react to this pruning?
Yeah, so that's the 30 meter teraticornis in my most recent video. I would hope that I've cut my collars to the right length and I haven't left them too proud. I'm pretty confident that I've done that well, so I would assume what would happen, or how the tree would react to that, would be that it would send out a little bit of epicormic regrowth around the wound site, which is a normal healthy reaction that'll help the tree occlude the wound. And based on the deadwood removal that I did on that tree, I would hope also that that would help the tree occlude over the deadwood sites. It would, by removing that deadwood, you've reduced the amount of growth that the tree has to put out to occlude over the deadwood. So that kind of would hopefully reduce the chance of the tree picking up any pathogens from dead or diseased growth, dead or diseased material, and would also prevent it from developing any hollows or anything like that. But yeah, overall I would assume that tree would react well. So a little bit of epicormic growth with the eventual healthy occlusion of all the living wood pruning and the dead wood pruning that I've made. Cool.
Okay. Why would you look for evidence of previous pruning when beginning pruning operations in a new tree?
Yeah, so you look at previous pruning cuts to gauge how the tree's reacted to them. So if you see that someone's left a collar quite proud and it's just shot out heaps and heaps and heaps of epicormic growth all along the collar, you might say maybe they've left that collar too long, and if they've left it slightly too proud on the underside of the collar, sometimes you can see trees will find it really hard to occlude over that underside of the collar, so you can see like a big sort of long strip of dieback. So if you saw that, you would go, okay, so I need to make my cuts with a maybe more acute angle than another tree, perhaps. So yeah, it just gives you an idea of like, if you look at old prunes, you can say, okay, so these pruning cuts the trees reacted well to, and these pruning cuts the trees reacted badly to. And then also, if you've got a good eye for picking out pruning cuts, then you can identify potential structural weaknesses that might occur from poor pruning practices. So for example, you might be able to note if something that you potentially wanted to set your climbing high point in was actually a really old epicormic regrowth from a lop cut, which could, if it's old enough that it's hard for you to tell, then maybe it's relatively strong, but yeah, it's good to like have that in mind before you go about climbing a tree or pruning a tree. Cool.
Okay, so why would you seek feedback on pruning from other arborists?
Yeah, so it's pretty much to expand your knowledge as much as possible so that you can provide the best care to the tree as possible. So maybe you're an apprentice like myself and you don't know, you might not know as much as, say, like a level 5 arborist who's on site with you. I mean, obviously, I would hope that a level 5 arborist would know more than me. But, yeah, so, yeah, of course I'm going to ask them and say, hey, what do you think about this? You know, like, in this specific species of tree, what collar do you think, or, you know, what's the collar going to look like in this tree? Like, how does that tree react to more proud or more flush collars? Yeah, just it's all about expanding your own knowledge, pretty much. Yeah, and giving the best service to the tree as you can.
Mm-hmm. How would you identify and rectify incorrect pruning cuts?
You can identify you can identify poor pruning cuts based on your own knowledge of the tree and how you know, like, a tree reacts to cuts and like what the collars should look like, what angle you need, what length you need, that kind of stuff. You can look at old cuts like we talked about before, see how the trees reacted in that way. So yeah, obviously the length of the collar is important, the angle of the collar is important depending on the union type and shape. If a pruning cut is too proud, you can obviously rectify it by shaving off more material with a saw, especially like if it's a big cut, you can do that with a chainsaw. I would say that if you are looking at an old pruning cut that is poor, but the tree has already begun reacting to it and putting growth up around it, it's probably better to just leave the tree to follow its own natural process, rather than making another cut and then stressing the tree out and causing further damage, if that makes sense. Because the more you open up a tree, the more likely it is to be susceptible to pathogens and diseases and that kind of stuff. So if the tree looks like, if even if it's a poor pruning cut, if the tree's already healing over, you're better off just leaving it. But yeah, if it's a fresh cut, like you've just made it in that particular work session, then yeah, by all means you can improve it if it's too proud by shaving it. But yeah, as far as I know, there's not much you can do if a pruning cut is too flush, beyond removing the limb down to the next collar down, which might not always be possible or sort of viable, I guess. Yeah.
Why might it be important to carefully record pruning operations and maintain those workplace records?
Yeah, it's good to keep records of, especially photo records of a tree, so that you can sort of monitor how the tree reacts over time. So if you get before and after photos, well, particularly the after photos, if you take a photo after you've finished pruning and then you come back to that tree in a year's time to quote for another job, or even just to prune for the next job, you can look at what that tree looked like a year ago and then look at what the tree looks like now and say, okay, so the tree's reacted in this particular way. It's like, you could look at it and say, okay, the tree still looks in healthy condition, so it's gonna react okay to further pruning. Or you can look at it and say, okay, the tree's not actually reacted well to this, so maybe we should consider how we go about pruning this tree in the future to prevent prevent extra stress on the tree, if that makes sense. And then also from a liability point of view, it's a good idea to take before and after photos so that you record exactly what you did and when. So if you run into any legal issues down the track, you can say, yep, this is what I did, this is the limbs that I cut, these are what the cuts look like, and yeah, it's very clear from that. Okay.